أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
According to most biology textbooks, fossils show the gradual development of life from simple to complex over hundreds of millions of years. But a growing number of scientists say that this textbook story is incomplete and even misleading, because it ignores an extraordinary event in the history of life known as the Cambrian explosion.
The Cambrian explosion is a term that refers to the geologically sudden appearance of all the major, or most of the major groups of animals at about the same time, geologically speaking.
Most geologists date the Cambrian explosion at 530 to 520 million years ago.
The Cambrian explosion is a name given to a geologic event, really, the appearance in the fossil record over a period of about 10 million years or slightly less of skeletonized fauna that includes many living phyla for the first time.
In Darwin's theory, if you think of the branching tree, Darwin's branching tree, the common ancestor down here and the different modern forms of animals up here, you would have one form to begin with, and then it would gradually diverge into slightly different forms and more different until you get the major differences that we see now. The problem with the Cambrian explosion is that all these major differences appear together at the same time, with no fossil evidence that they descended from this common ancestor.
One of the world's leading researchers of the Cambrian explosion is J.Y. Chen, a paleontologist at the Nanjing Institute of Paleontology and Geology. Chen's discoveries in the fossil beds in Shenzhen, China, have rocked the scientific establishment. According to Chen, the fossils he's found turn upside down Darwin's tree of life.
Darwin's tree reverse concept very unexpectedly. Our research is convincing the major phyla starting down below at beginning of Cambrian. Base is wide, gradually narrow, so this is almost turned on different way.
One of the greatest evidences for creation is found in the fossil record. For example, in the so-called Cambrian rocks, we find fossils of a vast array of very complex invertebrates: clams, snails, jellyfish, worms, brachiopods, trilobites, and many other very complex invertebrates. But nowhere on the face of this earth has anyone found fossilized ancestor to a single one of those complex invertebrates. Now that fact alone demolishes the theory of evolution.
We have no fossil evidence of the ancestors of most of the modern groups of animals. One clear exception is sponges. We do have fossil sponges from before the Cambrian explosion. But in a short space of maximum, as I understand it, 5 or 10 million years, which is a blink of an eye, geologically speaking, 30 some odd major groups of animals appear recognizable and altogether suddenly on the scene. This is completely contrary to Darwin's theory. This is completely contrary to Darwin's theory. This is completely contrary to Darwin's theory.
Because Darwin wrote in The Origin of Species, if numerous species belonging to the same genera or families have really started into life all at once, the fact would be fatal to the theory of descent with slow modification through natural selection. Despite all these facts, these skulls are still presented to the public through the media and in some evolutionist textbooks as if they were scientific facts. In many countries, an important part of the society supposes that evolution is a proven fact. A great deal of this so-called evidence of evolution, much of which has been dismissed by evolutionists themselves, is still presented to school children in their textbooks, where they are depicted as the ancestors of man.
I think it's important to understand that most of the educational programs that are implemented in the United States stem from the National Education Association. And the NEA was actually founded by John D. Rockefeller.
You can also symbolize the structure as a spider's web, with a spider in the center and different strands, different organizations, different secret societies. The closer to the spider you are, the more elite the secret society. The further out from it you are, you start to hit the organizations that directly interact with mainstream society. Somewhere here might be the Bilderberg Group, further out might be the Council on Foreign Relations and stuff like that, which are acknowledged to exist in America. But the real deal is here, which just dictates the policy down the spider's web.
If you can look at Darwin as a theory, it is a theory that should be taught in our schools. But it is just a theory. However, in our society, in our culture, and in this nation, it has been accepted as fact, and it has been enforced in the schools. We are forced to look at one viewpoint, and that is Darwin's theory of human development out of lower species, and neglect others. And it is illegal in many places to even propose that there may be a different a viewpoint here, that we may be creatures of a sovereign God.
It is now Darwin's theory of evolution that is protected by law, with all other views being excluded. Naturalistic evolution has been enshrined in the nation's public schools as the only acceptable theory of human origins. It is protected by the courts to such a degree that one judge ruled that a school district in Dover, Pennsylvania could not even inform students that there were scientific challenges to evolution or direct them to critiques of the theory.
Unfortunately, what happens in schools nowadays, and there are many reasons for this, coming from the way they're structured, the way a teacher sees his position and all that. What a student is a huge bag in which you have to dump all the knowledge. No. What you should do is train that student to think.
They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. That's against their interest. That's right.